You know, our parents and grandparents had it easy when it came to choosing a car. You basically had three choices: General Motors, Ford, Chrysler, and within each family, three, four, or five different cars to pick from. The theory was you started with something like a Chevrolet, and then as your prospects improved as you got older, you'd work your way up the ladder through Pontiac, Oldsmobile, and Buick till you finally reached the pinnacle of Cadillac. The idea was to maintain brand loyalty, keep people within the family. But then in the 60s, we started getting a lot of imports coming in, dozens and dozens of new brands, and a lot of that loyalty went out the window. Still, some car companies are trying to establish that by building a different car for every possible demographic slice. Now, I once asked Rick Wagoner, the president of General Motors, if this wasn't kind of wasteful. And he said, well, if we can keep the underneath bits roughly the same to keep costs down and make the exterior and interior different, we can appeal to different people without costing us a whole lot of money. So it's a strategic advantage. But now some companies are starting to cut brands. I mean, Chrysler has dropped Plymouth brand in Canada and now in the States as well. And they're trying to consolidate around the Chrysler brand name for their passenger cars. The advantage this has to them is that something like the Chrysler Caravan will now be the best-selling car in Canada because half the sales will no longer be counted as Plymouth Voyagers. Plymouth Voyager, Dodge Caravan. Who knew the difference and who cared? And now General Motors has done something even stranger. They've taken one of the best brand names in the business, the Suburban, and said, well, Suburban now is only a Chevrolet. The GMC version is going to be called the Yukon XL. Does anybody know what a Yukon XL is? That's part of GM's plan to make GMC a luxury truck brand. Geez, when I think of GMC, I think of a cement mixer at a construction site. Does this all mean anything to anybody? And then you got all the companies that are buying each other out. Ford's bought Jaguar and Aston Martin and Volvo. Volkswagen's bought, well, they bought everybody. They bought Skoda, Seat, they bought Lamborghini, they bought Bugatti. Volkswagen and Bugatti, what kind of sense does that make? I don't know. It's getting so complicated. I mean, it's supposed to be my business to figure this stuff out. And if I'm confused, what's the average consumer supposed to think? I'm Jim Kenzie.